It was hard for the people of Nazareth to believe. After all, Jesus grew up there. They felt he was blaspheming. Now, Nazareth was an incredibly poor town. I think in some portion of the Bible, I forget exactly where, it says that what good can come from Nazareth. Their minds couldn't wrap around the surprise, enlightenment, and the reality of the words he spoke. That the scripture could point to him. I imagine they wondered about his sanity, his hubris, his arrogance. They'd known him his entire life. They'd probably seen him climb trees, skin his knees, and learn a trade. The people of Nazareth found it hard to believe because they couldn't get out of their own way to accept that he might not be who they thought he was. How many of you remember when life was full of surprises? Some of you here are older than others. What kind of surprises have gone by the wayside? Surprise birthday parties. Gender of newborns. Remember when we didn't know? What the mailman, pardon?
The string thing.
Yeah, the string thing. What the mailman would bring. What was news? What was news in new in the Sears Roebuck catalog? Remember those? We have become a society obsessed with immediate knowledge. If you don't know something, and you're in a meeting, you get on the phone or your tablet and you Google it and find out what's going on. We have a 24-hour news cycle where everything is immediate. Everything is important. I grew up in Rhode Island. I had never seen news stations come on with breaking news so much since I've been here. Because of that, we've become a very jaded society. And for a valid reason. We've lost some of our innocence. The things we see, yeah, that's for sure I heard. The things we see may not actually be what they appear to be. So we have to approach everything with a bit of cynicism and caution. Think about reality TV. How much of it is real? How much of it is scripted? Think about people's ability to hack our lives. Having our checking and savings and social security number taken from us and our accounts taken over. Facebook. How many of you have had your Facebook hacked? I have to be careful when I accept an invite from people because you don't know if it's actually who the person is who's sending it to you. We've had fake political news that have gone over Facebook. Celebrity news. You get those little things on the side. Isn't it amazing? I'm not trying to advertise, but I use Amazon quite a bit, as many of you know. I can look something up on Amazon, and then I'm somewhere else searching, and guess what? There it is. That ad has followed me. They also have phishing, so that it isn't even safe sometimes to open up some of the attachments you get, or open up the email. Fake pictures. How many of you seen those people on TV who have fallen in love with Sue Babineau? Only Sue Babineau is from Nigeria and looks nothing like Sue Babineau, but they take your picture and they have this whole scam going. Or we get on our phone ID displays desperate messages from loved ones that happened recently in this church to someone. Or they call up and say, oh, something's really wrong with the computer. We need to take control of it. And they've got all your information. We have to be cynical. That's what the people of Nazareth were being. So in our cynicism, we try to get a handle on who people are. I don't think that's all that new. And we end up pigeonholing people. We know what Shelley's like, as much as she shares with her. You may be very different at home or at work. Look at that innocent smile. We know what to expect from Lance. We know what to expect from Pat or Sue. We have our ideas about who we are as a people. And that's not so different from those people in Nazareth. Because they thought they knew who Jesus was. He was just a kid who grew up among them. What if one of these children, I was talking to them about, what if one of these children came to you and said that they were sent from God? Would you believe them? Or because you've known how they've grown up and known their moods and their strengths and their giftedness? Nah, that can't be somebody sent from God. Pigeonholing people helps us to feel more in control of our lives. If we know what to expect from Ginny or Phil, then we have a good understanding of, okay, this is my interaction. If Phil went off the handle on us, we'd go, what in the heck happened? It would surprise us, and it would take us back. We want life to be predictable. And yet, in this world we live in, life isn't predictable at all. We used to be able to believe what we saw and what we read. We can't do that anymore. We used to be able to take people at face value. But we can't do that anymore. Sometimes people surprise themselves and us. And I'm going to give you an example of this. You know, we have a monthly prayer team where each month we learn a new prayer discipline. Well, in November, I brought Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd. Most of you know that. You know it from the King James Version. You know it from the NRSV. Well, I brought them versions from Psalms Now and another version. And all of a sudden, it opened up their minds. Because all of a sudden, they could hear it in contemporary speech that touched their hearts and their souls. So I sent them off with a homework assignment. Was to write your own psalm. Now that feels overwhelming. I've had confirmation classes on retreat write their own songs. They're beautiful. They talk about bullying. They talk about self-doubt. They talk about all those things that are troubling our adolescence, confirmation age. You could all write your own psalm. Well, Barbecue 2 was the only one who came back with a completed psalm. One person forgot to do it, or didn't do it, and the other person kept starting to write it and then throwing it away. Starting to write it, throw it away. And I said, you never do that. You hold on to those pieces because those are God's little nuggets. Mm-hmm. Barbara, when she introduced this, I asked her if I could say this. She gave us all sorts of a paragraph on how she really wasn't sure about this, and she really couldn't be describing art the way she wanted to, and blah, 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 blah. She read it, and she bowled us over. There's the God among us. And the God is in each one of us. And I remember it was Bob. Bob was there. And he said, she should read that in church someday. She did a beautiful job. And I bet everyone here could relate to it. And that's what happens, is when you get to your depths, when you get to who you are, it's universal. Some things might not apply. But everyone can know what it's like to be lonely. Everyone can know what it's like to suffer. Everyone can know what it's like to feel joy. Psalms are universal. That's why they're still so relevant. So I want to get back to our gospel. Jesus is in his hometown synagogue. What if someone here claimed to be the fulfillment of prophecy? What might they look like? Might they look like the general picture of Jesus that we all know? Might they be different colored? Would they have to be well-groomed? Would they have to be Caucasian in order to get our respect and our attention? What if they look like a street person? Jesus said some pretty upsetting things to the established Jewish leaders. What if someone came in here and said, I asked for help and no one helped me. What kind of Christians are you? That's why people don't come to church. Because they don't believe that we're doing our mission as we say we would. We're not as loving, we're not as supporting, we're not going out into our community. In the United Church of Christ, we have the notion of extravagant welcome that celebrates diversity in age, whether you're a youth. When I was first in church and going regularly, I could not wait until I was 30 years old. Because as long as I was still in my 20s, nobody took me seriously. Do you suffer from that? What about these children here? What if they come up with something? Are we just putting it off that they're children and not listening? Retirees, I think they get a better handle on it and are easier accepted because we revere our older folks. How about lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgendered folks? Might they have something to say to you that would be from God? How about those who are differently abled from us, who might not talk well? How about people of different races and classes, whether the rich or poor, unemployed or employed? God, if you look at what Paul said, read that again when you get home to the Corinthians. He's talking about the members of the body. The members of the body aren't just here, they're out there as well. And so they might not look like us. They might not talk like us. They might be from a different culture or country. They might be poor. They might smell bad. They may not have opportunities that we've had. And I would say to every one of us that any of us could be homeless. Any of us could be homeless under the proper circumstances. There's a wonderful story that's written in Dr. M. Scott Pecks' book, The Different Drum, called Rabbi's Gift. Now I'm going to give you a real brief synopsis of this. The rabbis are in a retreat center. There's only 5 of them left, and it's dying. And every year a rabbi comes for a retreat to this Christian center. And the abbot says to him, what would help us to grow? Because people used to come here all the time. We used to have the pews packed. They used to have picnics on our lawn. And he said, I don't know. But I do know that the Messiah is among you. There are only 5 people there. Oh, it couldn't be this one because that person's ornery. And that one over there can't be them because... So they all started thinking about that. But you know what happened? When they all started looking at everyone they met as potentially the Messiah, they treated that person with kindness. They treated that person with respect. And guess what happened? They now had a new spirit in their community. And all of a sudden, the people started coming back and started being involved. So my challenge to this day is to begin to look at everyone you meet, whether you like them or not, whether they're your kind of person or not, whether they seem smart or not, whether they're funny or not, whether they're peculiar or eccentric or not. See them as having Christ within them. See them having a message to you that if you're not careful, you're going to miss. Amen.